Hi friends, I'm Pastor Diana. Welcome to a daily devotion. I'm so glad you've chosen to spend a few moments on what is probably a busy day to spend some time with God. Because, that's what we are talking about this week, what it means to proclaim God's kingdom, to be a part of this kingdom that Jesus came to earth to proclaim. Today we are wrapping up the Beatitudes, those first verses found in the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew chapter 5, as Jesus is sharing what the kingdom of God looks like. And it's a little unusual. It is not what you might call a typical kingdom. And so today, let us read these last few verses, verse 10 and 11, to see what Jesus is telling us about what it means to orient our lives towards God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. So I always read these two and I'm like, this doesn't sound like fun, Jesus. Being comforted when I'm mourning, great. Trying to put my heart and life towards you and put you at the center of my life, I can do that. Making peace, doing acts of justice, being merciful, absolutely. Being persecuted, what? Being made fun of, what? Being hurt, doing all kinds of evil against me falsely, which means I can't defend myself. What do you want me to do? What is this about, Jesus? So let's unpack it a little bit. So Jesus is talking about what happens when we orient ourselves towards God. And this is not an individual thing, but this is more about when we are followers, when we are part of a Christian community, when we join with others, what does it mean when we are a part of the kingdom of God? And I think it's important that part of this doesn't mean that it is going to be easy. Being a part of community, being a part of the Christian community, being a follower of God, being a part of God's kingdom of love and justice and wholeness for everybody and peace is not easy. And Jesus is pointing that out, that it is hard and that we might face hardships, we might face persecution, we might be spoke falsely against, we might lose friends when we are doing these things for God's sake. For God's sake. I think that's the important thing about this, is that this isn't for, hey, I'm made fun of, or I did this silly thing and people made fun of me, or even that I've been accused of something wrong that I do. Jesus is talking about what it means when you live out your life as God calls you to do. When you orient your life towards God, you might make some choices that are hard for the world to understand, and you might be persecuted for those choices, because that is what God requires you to do, and it maybe not be what everyone else thinks. And so, today, consider, is this important to you? Are you willing to take this risk? Sometimes I probably don't. I don't know about you, because this doesn't sound pleasant. But the promise is that it's there. And if you do acts of justice, and if you do proclaim God's love and abundance, if you do share God's unconditional love for everybody, if you do work for acts of justice, you run the risk of being persecuted. But you will also be able to rest and rejoice and find your strength in God, because you are orienting your life towards God. And you made that choice because of God. And not that it's easy, but because you are orienting your life to God, God and your fellow Christians will see you through. Have a blessed day.